You're listening to From a Certain Point of View, the only Star Wars podcast that understands Jod's true motivations. Myself, having 5 kids of my own, 6 if you include my girlfriends, I absolutely get it. Now I want to know if you do. Grabbing a pirate's booty and doing anything you can to leave the kids behind.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Can't deal with these kids anymore.
I'm Jason the Angry Ginger, the Jedi guy. I'm broadcasting live. I'm inside Wookiee Studios, but Matt is inside his... We got to call that like... It's like Lando's fuck den.
Wow, I'll take that.
Yeah. The only thing missing is capes and his stain.
Oh, you can't see the stain. It's on the floor.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty great Griffin room. I love when Star Wars uses
Griffin.
Uses slang like that. Uses like bad words. I like to sneak those in whenever I can. But I want to start today's episode on a bit of a sour note.
Oh, who died?
Let's just say, Red Leader, this is Gold Leader, starting our attack run.
Signing off.
Oh, Angus McGinnis died. That would be John Dutch Vander. I guess I didn't really ever know his name other than Gold Leader. But he just passed away, age 77. So pour one out for him. You know, it's a good run.
It is a good run. And the older I get, the more I see these numbers. Like I keep track of more people dying. And it seems very difficult, especially for men, to get out of the 70s. Like they can't hit 80. Well,
it's also one of those things where this joke keeps coming up more and more as we age. All of a sudden, you're like, God, a lot of people are dying. It's like, yeah, because you know a lot more people, and everybody's getting older.
Yep.
Like, fuck's sake. But I don't want to leave it there. Let's just celebrate the man's life.
All right.
It was cool because he did come back, I believe, and provided some newer audio for Rogue One when they redid that last sequence. So
when they used the cut footage.
Yeah, and he was in a bunch of shit. He was in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, the cut footage, but also I think he came and recorded an additional line or two to kind of go with the new story. So it's just one of those voices you hear that you're like, that's just part of my childhood. Hearing those, pilots' voices. If you'd like to find our show from a certain point of skew.com, we're on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at FACPA Pod, and you can email facpapod@gmail.com. Let me do this real slow. We have a voicemail, 678-322-7277. That'll make sense later, why I did it so slow.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, all right, who got ornery?
So somebody mentioned it, and we'll talk about it later.
I imagine the numbers in the show notes.
So we'll talk about it later. That comes up, yes.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
A quick programming note, February 7th is Star Wars Podcast Day. And we will be participating as we have the last few years by releasing an episode along with a lot of hundreds of other podcasts on that day. We're going to probably do volume 3 of FACPA Stories.
Yep.
That's what we're kind of working towards. So if you would like to participate, please reach out to us. You know, the earlier you get in, the better. But if you have a story that you want to contribute to FACPA Stories, if you want us to read it and do sound effects and stuff, we can. If you want us to just give you a voice and you do the thing yourself.
Earlier the better.
Earlier the better, but happy to do it. I would recommend, I feel like kind of the money zone for story length is between like kind of 1 to 3 pages. Kind of get the story. If you have a longer one, we can always break it into 2 parts, that kind of thing. But please, if you'd like to participate, it was a lot of fun the last 2 times we did it.
Yeah, it was.
Please reach out to us via the email or via email or DM on Twitter or whatever, and we can work with you to get something up there because it'd be fun to do. I think you're working on a couple. Mm-hmm. I had an idea. I don't know if I'll get to it. I'm going to work hard to try to get to it.
Okay, good.
I think Brown Leader said that Hyperspace Heroes might have another one they might contribute. So we'll see. We'll see what we get.
Sweet.
That'll be fun.
Yes, I love doing these.
Yeah.
All right. What's on the show today? We got a question of the week. I can't read. News. Shawn Levy filming in fall of 2025. Oh. Skeleton Crew, episode 6. Zero friends again. That will be our big discussion. Got one email in the Maul Bag, and FACPA Answering Machine. 1 voicemail.
We have a voicemail.
Did
you almost say we have 1 email in the ball bag?
I almost did.
Question of the week, Jod. This is, by the way, a bonus point for Brown Leader because he sent this question over to us. He goes, hey, you should ask a question like this. I was like, hey, bonus entry. Jod sees this writing on the cave wall. That's, of course, that image we saw last week on Lanupa.
Yeah.
While he's looking for Tac Renaud's secret hideout. Help us solve the mystery. What do these carvings mean? Ro, this is funny, the first 2, because Ro says, we've been trying to get a hold of you regarding your vehicle warranty. And then, like, within the hour, a Delphi Ranger says, Have you checked out the warranty on your X-Wing? We're pretty sure it's expired, and lucky enough, we can sell you one. And then Adelphi Rangers goes, I didn't see his response, I swear.
I like that they're thinking that this was written out on a cave wall.
Right. Why? Why on earth? Brown Leader, speaking of him, says Kilroy was here. Are you familiar with the Kilroy thing?
I know that, but Kilroy was here.
It's like it was like a World War II thing, and it's like the picture of like the guy with the bald head and his nose kind of hanging over the wall. It's like this.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it was almost like a way for the U.S. soldiers to show like we were here and took this place.
Yep.
That was kind of funny. Like the World War II reference there. Brian, by the way, we'll hear from Brown Leader again because he keeps doing keeps flooding us. I love it.
Yeah.
Brian Hour says either be kind, rewind, or please present your receipt to our loss prevention as you exit, as we are too lazy to check you out ourselves. You like that one? I like that one because that's like exiting the cave. It's like the gift shop at the Star Wars ride. Yeah, right. Brown Leader again says, for a good time, call Mon at 555-6969. Dude, I responded to this on Twitter and said, there is going to be a fight at a 7-Eleven parking lot in Southwest Michigan. Yeah. You better fucking call his X-Wing buddies. Max Rebo says, up, down, left, right, BA stars. He said, given the video game side quest nature of this episode. I think it's actually up, down, left, right, BA start, but that's okay. We get the point. Brown Leader, one more time. He sent that little GIF of like the guy launching himself. Is it always Wile E. Coyote that launches himself? It's a cartoon thing, and then it goes boom and says "Eat it, Joe's." Yeah. And finally, Joe Boo 76 says Chester Copperpot was here. Perfect. Chester Copperpot. Goonies. Chester Copperpot was the guy in Goonies who was the head of
I'm thinking One-Eyed Willie, but Chester Copper, yes.
He was the one looking for One-Eyed Willie. He was the one who had the key to One-Eyed Willie's treasure. Okay, news. Just
don't
one
act
item.
like you didn't have to look that up.
Oh, I know. Are you kidding me? Goonies? I've seen that movie like 975
I have too.
times. I told you how they have the anniversary this year. It's the 40th. They're going to actually release that shit in theaters.
The Goonies is coming back to theaters?
They're going to re-release it in theaters. I think it's actually this month. I think it's in like a couple of weeks.
Oh, shit.
Yes. But they're doing their usual celebration on the coast where it was filmed. So it's the 40th anniversary.
That'll be fun. You got to go.
Well, I emailed them. Because I think I told you about this before. There's like a VIP cocktail hour at the house. Yeah. The one White House? It's the house where the kids live. Yep. Yes, right. Which I'd probably tell you the history of that. Like somebody bought it for a while and was like, stop coming up here and taking fucking pictures. I was like, you bought the Goonie house, man. I don't know what you're thinking.
That's like the people who bought the Brady Bunch house. Yeah,
it's gonna happen. Don't buy that house. I mean, that's the bottom line. Or tear it down or do something else with it. But they're doing this VIP cocktail hour there with some of the cast and shit. And so I was like, oh, God, I'd go if it was that. Like, there's some other stuff that's going on, and I'm like, I don't need to go to that. But if you get it on that, so I emailed him, and I was like, laid it on thick. It'll be my wife's birthday, and I want to surprise her and do all this and this.
Did you really?
Thinking maybe they'd be like, sure. Like, well, they're like, oh, no, just follow the newsletter, and we'll announce it. And I'm like, fuck. We're never getting into that thing. Oh, well. Shit. Anywho... Shawn Levy. So another Jeff Schneider rumor, Schneider bomb dropped, and he said that Shawn Levy is reportedly holding a window open in September of 2025 this year for his untitled Star Wars movie. And he said the film will feature Daisy Ridley as Rey, but she's not the lead and will take on more of a mentor role to the lead, who's either going to be a teenage boy or a young man. That's the little tidbit of info we got on that show. So we've also heard recently that, Mangold was trying to wrap up his script. Yep. So it kind of makes you think, okay, so which one's going to make the 2027 deadline and be that next movie? Is it the Levy movie? Is it the Mangold movie? Is it something else? Because that date's going to come up pretty fast. Yeah. And then what do you do with the Rey movie then? Like is she older in this one? Because we had discussed like when there was a while back where, was it Kennedy came out and said, there were all these movies fighting to use the Rey character. And I guess whatever one came out first was the angle they were going to go with. So is she older than she would be if there was another Rey movie? Like there's so many weird things happening with this. Well, we talked about how there's like this fight over Rey because they feel like she's the most bankable Star Wars property or character right now. So everybody wants her in their movie. It almost sounds like, is the Obai Chinoy movie or her in general, you had a theory about that too,
yeah,
getting kind of kicked back. Like, are these things taking precedent before she's going to do her project? I mean, originally, wasn't it the one, whoever the hell it was it Lindelof? Who was it who wrote the original script that then got
Lindelof wrote the original one, yeah.
And wasn't she going to be way older?
I think that was
in her 60s or something.
And they didn't want her older, so then they brought in Knight to rewrite it, and then he walked out. Yeah, and we don't even know who the hell's writing it now.
They said there's a new writer, but we don't know.
Yeah, they've never announced it.
No.
And since then they announced now his name's escaping me, but I know it's in that my rundown. What's that? Yeah, Simon Kinberg. Yes. Yeah, I really think he might be around longer than we've known. Just the announcement happened, right?
Yes, you DM'd me and sent this nice long. I have it here. I won't read it because you said sometimes this is just for you, not for the show.
Oh, well, I don't. You can read it. I just think some of this time it's a little silly because you were like, we need to start a segment, and I was like, I don't know if the listeners want that.
I know. I said we need to have a new segment called Jay's Theories, and I'll play the X-Files theme song. Here, I'll read your bit. Right. I copied it in here. So and it's so funny for a peek behind the curtains. Just randomly out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I'll just get this massive DM from you. Like, he's been noodling on this for a while now. I just got to spit it out. You said, here's what I'm thinking. Simon Kinberg was probably seen at Lucasfilm helping out a bigger picture on the film side of things for longer than we know. Just because the announcement came out recently doesn't mean he wasn't already doing the job. This happens in Hollywood all the time. Kennedy, Kinberg, Favloni, and maybe a few others set up a writer's room-like situation. If they have all these movies in the works and several of them are working on story ideas revolving around Rey, I'm thinking they've narrowed them down or combined the best parts, and that's what the new trilogy will be. And then you wrote, who fucking knows? Hey, it's just a theory. But I feel they have way too many cooks in the kitchen with all these separate movie ideas fighting for the top spot. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if the Rey/Ray movie. What does that mean? REY/RAY.
Because I always spell it Ray, RA. So I just put both versions.
Talking about. I was like, is there another Ray? If there's another, you said, I'd be surprised if the Rey movie that Lindelof and Knight wrote doesn't get absorbed into Levy's film and the director sadly gets tossed to the sidelines. And that's when you were speculating on if this kind of untested documentary filmmaker would be given this $200 million project or not.
Right.
Her name has never been kicked out. Like, there's never been any news or rumors that she's out. It's just always been the writer keeps getting replaced. But the longer this goes on, the more you think, Jesus, is she going to get this project or not? Maybe not.
Right, and I think like if you're moving Levy into the spot, Levy. But here's the thing, Levy, yeah. I think in that I wrote like the guy is now. I mean, he's done plenty of movies, but he's responsible for. He's one of the main directors, and he's one of the producers on Stranger Things. He just had a $1 billion movie with Deadpool, Wolverine. Kennedy gets a little fucking shaky when these directors come in and start playing with shit. So I think this is the guy like she can trust. Like, this guy is going to come in. He knows how to make a film. He knows story, and he can handle a huge budget. Easy.
That movie made him $1 billion.
Deadpool, Wolverine?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's incredible. It's hard to make it's hard to get those anymore. I mean, Oppenheimer did, Barbie did, but like.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
I'm trying to think what the last Marvel movie was that did. Maybe Multiverse of Madness?
It made $1 billion?
Pretty close if it didn't make $1 billion.
Did it? Okay. God damn. I'm amazed by that. Yeah, I don't know. I obviously we're expecting we'll have a lot more clarity on the situation come Celebration, or at least some semblance of clarity, Right. It's one of those where the longer it goes, all we have is one film in the hopper, essentially. Well, we have the Filoni movie also.
Right.
Those are the only two ones that we really know for sure are happening.
Well, if they want to make a bunch of these Rey movies, and at first it was a standalone. If it works, then maybe it'll be part of a trilogy. And then you bring Simon Kinberg. You bring him in, right? And he's supposed to be like structuring the whole thing now.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, you're not making, at least I think, you're not making a standalone Rey movie and working on a trilogy that's going to have Rey in it, all this stuff anyways. I think you're going to take all of this stuff, best of ideas, let's get the trilogy down. If anything, they move her to the second film. Levy can start this off. Move her to the second. Maybe she can do behind-the-scenes DVD commentaries for the first film.
Oh, wow.
Keep her on set. Look, we promise you get the second film, but why don't you just do some second unit stuff?
It's 28 minutes long.
Right, yeah.
It's interviews with the director. Yeah, no, it like you said, it totally makes sense to bring all that together. To have
Yeah.
A bunch of different storylines with Rey involved is confusing, and it's going to just it's too much. It's trying to take that notion of she's the bankable character and expanding it way too far.
Right.
Give her the trilogy or put her in a trilogy and call it good. If you want to do some sort of cameo or smaller appearance in another one-off film, fine, but
sure,
you're going to spread her out too much, I think. I don't think that's a good idea.
And the reason why I brought Favloni up in this whole thing is I really think, you know how like when they did the Mandoverse, they had sat down, they're like, we know what happens over this whole gap in between Return of the Jedi and
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, right? So I think Kinberg came in and did the same thing. Like now they know the story all the way through. And maybe not like every beat, but they know what they want to happen or where characters are going to go. And this will probably help so that way people aren't arguing over whether they should have had the same writer-director for all 3 films.
It helps to have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's useful.
Yep.
And when you have so many creatives involved, that plan gets stretched and poked and pushed in different directions, and it's to keep it on track.
I'm happy that we're seeing some of these big creatives still involved with all the firings and the movies that haven't happened and all this, so we still have some really big names. And these are the ones that, like, years ago when they started hiring all these people, they were all the people that grew up on Star Wars. Like, all these people want to make Star Wars movies, and then it got to the point where, like, why am I going to want to make one? Because it's never going to happen. Right. So it's nice to see these names still involved.
And the pressure involved.
Yeah,
a lot of pressure. Well, let's get to Skeleton Crew. I heard a lot of people talking about why haven't we had a KB-centric episode, which I was thinking, the third episode where we meet Jod stuff, I guess it's a little bit more in reference to Jod, but we got a bit more context on her character. But this one was full on like a KB more driven episode. And I mean, although there's still some questions remain, even though we did get a lot more answers about her condition and stuff, there's still like, okay, what was this accident that she had? And I mean, it's no wonder her moms are so protective.
Yeah, we finally know why.
But this episode really showed the true dynamics of her relationship with Fern, kind of how she's pretty much playing second fiddle and just at the mercy of whatever Fern wants to do.
Yeah.
I think also what you saw in this episode was that the Jod betrayal and all the stuff that they've been going through this whole season is really starting to wear on them. Yeah. As much as they're kids and there's this wonder and excitement and adventure and all this, I mean, you saw it with Wynn last episode, it's starting to wear on them. Yeah, there's not like that childhood glee and innocence anymore. Like they're starting to realize that shit's going down. You see it in bits, but overall there's there's this heavy weight that's starting to develop, I think, on all the characters, and it's starting to make them a little chippy with each other and getting a little impatient and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's good because things are coming out and they're gonna all be better friends in the end for it. But there's some things that they're having to go through. And I mean, in general, this episode, not a lot actually happened as far as advancing the story. Yeah. Except that it really helped you understand who these characters are more, especially KB. Which I think important. You needed this, right? It makes you give a shit a lot more. It does. And I think it really does a nice job of setting the table for this convergence at At-Aten. Yes. Because we pick up right where we left off. The kids are hurtling down this. It's kind of a Goonies-esque hydro tube, but there's no water. Yeah. It's a dry tube. And it just throws them straight outside, dumps them into, I guess, what we would call the Lanupa landfill. Yeah, that's pretty much what although apparently it never gets time to fill because the little crab guys just come by and grab everything. I know. So these crab guys are so interesting. I'll get into them in a second because their makeup is so odd. KB is not in good shape right off the bat, and Fern, she understands what's going on. She says, we have to reset your occipital link. Which, if you ever need to do that for me, Jay, I'll let you do it. I trust you to do that. I got the back of your head, baby. That sounded great. While they're working on her, they show... Wouldn't that be, hold on, that'd be funny. Like, if you're the one who's scared of droids and come to find out you are one. I am one? You're half one anyways. That's why I'm afraid of them. They're to throw off the scent. While they're working on her, they flip over, they show Jod pop up on the landing platform, just jewels coming out his freaking... I know, yeah, eyeballs. But then, oops! It's funny because the second you saw him stand up, I'm sure everybody noticed this, but like you could see Gunter right behind him as he stands up, right in front of him. Yep. And so all the remaining pirates are there and capture him, and he thinks he's just gonna get the ship gassed up and he's gonna leave out of there. Yeah. Who would have thought he'd be such good comic relief? Oh, he's great. Yeah, I mean the laughter and the joy on his face coming out of there, like, haha, got it. No remorse for what he's just done to the children. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Right. So they capture him. he tries to sick Smee on him, but they just shoot him with a, like, I guess, I don't know, whatever, like an ion or something that disables, something that disables him.
EMP.
There you go. But then the X-Wings show up.
Just 2 of them.
Was there 2? Oh, that's right. For some reason I thought there were 4 originally, but you're right. It's just 2 of them, isn't it?
I think so.
And so they're flying around, and the pirates are like, shit, get to the ships. We got to get the fuck out of here. That's at that point where KB looks up and sees and goes, oh, look, pirates. And they see him chasing him. And this is also when Wynn realizes, like, the X-Wings are the good guys. Because they're like, John said they're the bad guys.
Yep.
So there you go, Adelphi Rangers. It's been sorted. The kids now believe in the X-Wings.
Right, yeah. They know they're the good guys.
Yeah. Oh, so then KB, by the way, throws out, oh, by the way, I got the coordinates at Atten. So, like, when we get a ship, we're good to go. So here's where we get some insight into the Fern-KB relationship, because Fern kind of tries to take charge, as she's been doing the whole show. And she's like, we got to climb up to that platform, get on the Onyx Cinder. And KB's like, dude, which I'd be the same way. Like, you want me to fucking climb up there? That ain't happening.
Well, if anything, if at least 1 or 2 are brave enough to do it, they can get the ship. Well, I guess they can't fly it without her, right?
In the end, they can't, because they don't know how to start the damn thing.
Yeah.
So, KB is pushing back, and then Fern's like, let's go have a little chat over here. So she goes over there, and then she's like, okay, so Wim's going to challenge me on this, but, like, what's our play?
Right.
I love that.
Don't undermine me in front of our new friends.
Exactly. I'm the leader, goddammit. KB throws it back at her. She says, you assume, because she said this is the best, move or whatever. She said, you assume there aren't any other moves or options because you didn't think of them. And then she says, if you were actually interested, you'd be listening for once, and maybe we'd actually talk about something. Ooh. Cuts deep. She's sick of the one-sided relationship. She's putting her fucking foot down. Good for KB. That's when the mechanical crabs show up, like you talked about. They called them trash crabs, or at least that's what Wynn called them.
Yep.
They're so funny because their body is made up of all these little metallic parts. One of them's got like the leg of fucking a C-3PO.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like they're using that as their shell.
Yes, right. Well, and later, it's something I didn't look into as much until I saw this tweet pop up this morning, is the Phil Tippett stuff, the stop motion. That crab has got nuggets all over it. There's like a little C-3PO. There's a little R2-D2. Yeah, it's because the shell is made of all these mechanical parts. It's so interesting the way they design.
So they're bringing the pieces to that crab to make his shell bigger.
I guess that's what it is. Or her. Yes, sir or ma'am.
Yeah.
I love that.
Why not?
I don't know if it's a combination of, hey, you're organic, so we're going to eat you, or you got mechanical parts, so we're going to reinforce his or hers. Yeah. Anyway, but I do like the fact that they're like, he's like, see, they're friendly. And like, friendly. They sounded a lot. They reminded me of, is it Dio, right? The little megaphone looking guy that was BB-8's buddy in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the one that was on Rey's parents' ship.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that like had abusive issues, like they had some trauma.
Was abused. Yeah, very much. And so Wynn's like, hey, man, like they're locals. They know where they're going. Let's follow them. Now, this is a dumb idea, by the way, of Wim's, to follow these fucking crabs. In the end, it's a terrible plan.
Right, yeah, leading you to your death. Also, did you feel like you were watching like the same Ahsoka episode over again?
Oh, I see what you're saying. A little bit like that vibe.
Yeah, just follow the creatures.
Yeah.
It worked out better for them. But.
It worked out way better for them. But Wim is just like, well, he's also, I mean, when Fern's like, we're going to climb up there, he goes, you're going to break every bone in your body.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at that climb they have to make. They're like, no fucking way. And at the first I'm thinking, how the hell does Neil agree to go? But Neil doesn't like following the crabs. That's his deal. He's like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I think so, but I also think like he didn't want her going alone.
Yeah, that's true. But then he gets up to it and he's like, Jesus Christ, what did I commit myself to here? So KB takes a stand. She's like, I'm going with Wim. Mm-hmm. Fern's like, fucking fine. Then do it then.
Yeah. See if I care.
Neil's trying to keep the peace. He's like, hey, man, it's cool. Because he tries to break up the fight between Wim and Fern before that and all that. So they split up. Then we flip over to the pirate ship. So the pirate ship makes it back to Brutus's ship or whatever. And Jod's standing trial. Not a very fair one, this trial.
No.
Doesn't really have representation.
But he's quiet. He's playing his part. Wait until his moment.
Brutus determines that he's guilty. I like how he's like, I deem him guilty, and everybody goes crazy. He goes, shut up. And so he says Jod should be sentenced to death by airlock, which I guess is like walking the plank.
Yeah, and that's how Jod had sentenced whoever at the first episode.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Then Jod stares at this old bird who's looking very, like, put off.
I know.
Is that a Jedi mind trick he did on her?
It looked like, to me, that was one of the people in his crew he knew that he could get something over. Like, they didn't hold... There was her and wasn't there someone else that kind of was like, they didn't get very loud when everyone was cheering. And he noticed like, oh, they're probably going to be on my side, or at least I can start with them to win them over.
See, at first I thought that. And then the second time I watched it, I thought, is he mind tricking her? Because he looks at her and she looks like she doesn't want to she looks like she doesn't want to get involved. Like she's like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she forcefully is like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
true. I thought
true.
maybe he fucking mind tricked her.
I didn't pick up on that, but you know what? Yeah. So he's stronger than we thought.
It's just a theory. And by the way, for such a lawless bunch, they sure got a lot of protocols in this crew.
They live by the code, man. You got to.
I know. So she calls for right of last appeal, equal time. And that's when Brutus is like, fine, gotta play by the code. So like sands through the hourglass. So on the days of our lives, hits the little plasma hourglass thing.
Yep.
And that's when Jod makes his appeal. I thought this was very cool, him making this plea to the other pirates. And, he goes into this whole bit about like, aren't you just sick of fighting for scraps and nothing? We're there's not enough credits to go around.
I love how he blames it all on Brutus, though. Just a few episodes ago, he was the captain and he was failing them the same way.
That's true. That's a good point. I do like the fact that at one point, yes, he says Brutus is a great first mate. And they're like, yay.
Yeah.
And Brutus is just standing there like, dudes, I'm the fucking captain.
He's like, I still have time.
Yeah. Then he starts asking all the individual pirates to kind of get them on board. He's trying to like get him, on board with him. And he goes, apparently Glurb, great. Glurb has long dreamed of saving up to start his own glowweed plantation.
Yes.
And he says, imagine if you could buy an entire ocean. And I was not ready for Glurb's voice because it was like, that'd be something. I was like, that's what he sounds like? And then he tells Kona, I think that's a woman, that she should be captain of her own fleet. But she's like, what's the trick here? They know he's full of shit.
Well, to be fair, he finally has some evidence that maybe he's not full of shit.
Right. He flips that credit out.
Well, that, and he's got all the shit he was wearing that he stole from the treasure thing. And they've got, isn't it on the table behind him?
I think you're right. And that's, because they had like the lightsabers back there and shit too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a little bit more credence to it. They're like, well, at least he's got something. Brutus.
Yeah, what are you giving us, Brutus?
Brute? So he explains that there's a place where you can make endless Old Republic credits. And he shows them the one that he's got. They all blow their fucking wads in their pants.
Oh my God, do they? Yeah.
Including our guy, the Nikto guy, what do we call Vane?
Oh,
the
right.
guy from Mandalorian. Yep. So Jod explains that he knows where they make these credits because he heard it from Tak Renad himself. He really rolls his R's on that one.
Hey, did you go back and watch? Have you seen that? The voice of Tak is Smee.
I've heard people make that guess. You think it sounds just like him?
When I was watching the thing, and I was like, oh my God, that's his voice.
So do you think that means that's why it's obscured?
Or maybe he wasn't originally the captain, but he's playing in place of the captain, or the myth exists about the captain, but you don't know who he is because no one's going to buy it that it was a droid. So I'm not quite sure yet how that works out, but I'm pretty sure that was him. It was Smee.
And do you think then if it is him, let's just say it is him, why is he just going along with all these people? Is it because he can't access these parts of his memory banks? Or
the override or something, sure.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw somebody look at the video and what is it? They did like a still and somebody said it looked like a Weequay or something, like one of those, you know what they look like. You'd have to look them up, but those kind of like a Hondo kind of character.
Oh yeah.
God, could you imagine if it was fucking Hondo with the fake voice and the way he
right?
up and it's him?
Oh yeah, it is a Hondo. Yeah, it's the same as the bartender.
Yes.
On Tatooine.
Yeah, the Mos Pelgo.
Yep. Yeah.
I finished Justified, by the way.
Oh yeah,
good show. So then he starts singing this chanty.
Right.
And he's like, Tak Renad soared away aboard the Onyx Cinder, and never was he seen again. For at Atten he did plunder. Now that doesn't really rhyme, but that's okay. It's close enough.
But the part that he acts like he doesn't remember the last line.
Does he not, or is he just setting somebody up?
Well, he sets them up to answer it. So then they all know the line, and they're like, oh, well, we should follow him because he knows the treasure. Yeah,
he planted the seeds there.
Yeah.
And then he says, if you follow, that's what you talk about. If you follow Brutus, you're going to keep getting scraps. If you follow me, you're going to get the whole Griffin Galaxy. So there you go. Unfortunately for Jod, the hourglass runs out. And he's done enough to pique Brutus's interest and saved his skin for the time being. But he knows that, he's still very much a captive. And if shit doesn't work out on At-Atten, he's going in that airlock.
It's the airlock.
Back on Lanupa, where both pairs of kids are making their way, Neil's having a hell of a time climbing. I don't blame him. I mean, you look down below him. Don't look down, Neil.
Yeah. Plus, little stumpy legs. He's struggling.
I love that. I love how he's like, but it's funny because that's when he says, not all of us can do what you can do, or something like that. And that kind of resonates with Fern because she's like, oh, yeah, I never think about that. She just charges forward. Everybody got to come along.
You're right.
As much as she's like, okay, you can't do what I can do. I'm going to take that into account. It's more like, well, then I'll just pull you along by a rope.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wim and KB keep following the crabs. And KB has to sit because her system is corroded and she can't move. And she's getting really weak. She asks Wim to gather up some droid parts to fix her. And he has to pull this wiring out of these droid parts and melt it down with a torch and then pour it into this mold and make a new microfuse is what he's got to replace. So he does all that. But while he's working away on it, he asks KB, he's like, why don't you just tell Fern you were low on energy and you didn't want to climb? But this kind of goes along with other moments we've seen earlier, even just back on the beginning of the Lanupa episode where she's like, I can't go down to the spa. And whenever Fern's like, oh, can you not do that because of whatever? She's like, no, it's fine. Like she always blows it off because she's afraid that Fern doesn't have the patience for
and it's her only friend.
Disability. Yeah, right. But now we hear her explain that since her accident, which we don't know what it means, she says that Fern just assumes she can still do all the stuff she used to be able to do and that Fern can do.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a part of her that wants to be able to do that too, right?
Of course.
Like anybody's in denial that they can't do what they used to be able to do.
There's that, and there's also probably a part of it is that Fern.
Let's not blame it all on Fern.
Well, no, and I think Fern probably also is like, I'm asking you if you're okay, but I'm going to treat you like everything's just a-okay, but doesn't.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like she doesn't really want to know the answer, maybe.
Your disability doesn't define you, Fern, saying right.
Right, but she's also, but I think KB is like, you don't really want to hear the answer. You don't want to hear what I'm really not doing well. You just want me to say I'm fine. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where they've landed. And so that's when KB says, like if I go to her with all this stuff, she's going to get real impatient with me, and then I won't have any friends, zero friends again. She says.
Yeah.
Which of course there's your episode title. Although, is that really in a reference to KB or is it in a reference to Jod?
Jod, I think more so. I mean, the line works for her, right? But she still has her friends.
She does. And Jod now has
doesn't
none.
have shit right now.
No. Smee's not his friend, and that's all he's got.
Yeah.
And Smee is out of commission at the moment. And then Wim, being, the nice little kid he is, goes, yeah, you can be homies with me and Neil, which KB is very, very touched by. So he's able to get the fuse installed in the back of her head just in time to avoid a total system shutdown, which apparently means death. Like, you're not coming back from that.
Fucking looks like it.
So she's essentially a cyborg or a mod, whatever you want to call it. That's what
like a mod.
Yeah, I think so. Like almost like a younger Echo, but with hair.
There we go. Yeah. And more personality, I think.
Way more personality.
Well, I was thinking tech, actually.
Well, Echo too, but Echo also, I mean, was a clone, so very, And
he also went through a lot of trauma.
He went through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
He was in some bad places.
Yeah.
So then KB is, comes all back to life. She's good to go again, and she flatters Wim by saying, this is probably not your idea of what it means to save somebody's life, but you just did. Thanks, Jedi.
Yeah, that was a cool line. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way for her to get back to him. So then Wim and KB, they realize where the trash crabs are taking them, and that's to the bigger crab.
King crab.
The king crab that we saw in the trailers. And that's when we get the sir or ma'am. And this is Phil Tippett's work with the stop motion.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch that. There's a tweet on Star Wars Twitter or something like that where it shows all the little bits that make up his shell. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, Neil and Fern managed to get up the platform thanks to that rope. And they get there just in time to jump aboard one of these little trash collecting ships.
That's carrying their ship.
Mm-hmm, right. Yeah. Carrying it away to the scrap heap. And she manages to commandeer the controls on that, particular little pickup, whatever you want to call those things. They swoop in so KB and Wim can jump on board. And then the whole thing crashes and they all fucking... They have been so close to dying so many times in this fucking show. It's hilarious. Because doesn't Neil say something like that? Like, we're getting good at falling.
Yes.
So they're all happy to see each other. They're all very apologetic to each other about splitting up before. It's typical kind of like kid level, like, we're just going to blow off what just happened. Everybody's fine now. And get a nice makeup between Fern and KB because they're besties again, so that's all good. That's when we notice, they notice that there's this massive compactor in the distance, and it's about to destroy the Onyx Cinder. So they race over there, they get on board, and we see all the skills they've developed over the season.
Right. Yeah, they all can do something.
Right. KB knows how to start it up, and she also knows kind of how to go to the engine room and deal with the engine.
Yep.
And then, Fern, of course, is taking charge as the leader, and she and Neil are going to try to work the controls and the throttle.
Because Neil can, yep.
Neil
can fly it, and Wim knows how to shoot.
Yeah, and then, Wim goes to shoot the thing.
Yep.
So they do all that stuff. Nothing's working. Engines are overheating. So Fern's like, I got to make the executive decision. We talked about this, whatever it was, back in episode 3.
Destruction.
The emergency hull demolition sequencer. Don't ever fucking touch that.
Yeah.
Why do you have it if you should never touch it? Just saying. Well, and that's what Fern...
Tends to work.
Fern makes a judgment call. She's like, you know what? I don't think we got a choice here because we're going in otherwise. She flips the switch. The effect of the... was very cool. And essentially what's happening is it's shedding its skin.
Mm-hmm.
The hull comes away. The new ship emerged, and it looks fucking mint.
Yeah, it does.
This new ship looks awesome.
Not a mark on it from all those explosives that just happened.
No, not at all. Well, it's designed that way. And my first thought was, the people that have that Lego. They're going to be so mad.
Now I'm wondering... if they got the Lego, did they why am I slide it into this giant metal condom?
That would be pretty good foresight. Not to mention, we know Lego always screws up by releasing stuff and giving us tidbits about the story. Shed the skin, pulls out, they fly out of there, and that's the end of the episode. So a little bit shorter episode. And like I said, not a ton happens over the course of the episode, but you do get a lot of stuff you need to kind of set up the rest of the story and get a little bit more about KB, a little bit more about Jod. I mean, the next episode is supposed to be the one that we've heard that you get a lot of more Jod backstory. So I don't know if that's going to be flashbacks or exposition by the pirates talking about him.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how it's almost going to have to be flashbacks, right? Because who's he going to tell his story to?
I don't know. There's nobody there.
Right.
There's going to be this mass. They're going to all come to a head on At-Atten, and it just makes me think, how exactly is that going to all take place? Because are you going to see the kids come back kind of under, on the DL, get in there in the Onyx Cinder? Is it going to land exactly where it came from? Because that's kind of what we saw before at Akron, where the ship knew where to land. So since it's been there before, is it just going to go right back to where it was?
Yeah.
Because then I thought about how there's that shot of Wendell with the kids and their bikes. Does he go out into the woods and finds them where the ship comes in? And that's maybe. I don't know. What do you think? And then how do the pirates come in? Are they just going to come in guns blazing?
Oh, I think so.
And fighting droids?
Yeah, I think so.
Will we get X-Wings?
Well, we're going to learn what the safety crew does real fucking quick, aren't we?
No shit. How good are they?
Yeah. I wonder if they even make communication. We know that the hologram hasn't gone to the kids yet, right? So that's probably going to happen next, where mom comes through on the hologram. But...
Good point. I forgot about that.
You're not allowed to leave the barrier. No one's allowed to come in. So how do they handle that? That's going to be interesting to see, because if they almost have to be okay, we're the kids, we're they got to let them land. But because if they don't make any communication and try shooting them out of the sky, it's going to work for the pirates, but how do the kids avoid that?
Right.
Unless the ship is so fucking fast.
Well, yeah, the only thing I can think of is that the Onyx Cinder has some sort of special clearance on it from before that it's able to come in, but the pirates won't.
Oh.
Well, then it also makes me think: is this gonna be a moment where are they gonna all rush to the supervisor and be like, "Dude, pirates here! We gotta do something. We need to call the fucking New Republic. We need help." And the X-Wings are gonna come in and help.
Well, they're gonna rush to the supervisor, and there isn't going to be one.
It's just gonna be a fucking computer monitor.
The computers, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I would think at some point we're gonna see these X-Wings again. I think the New Republic's going to get involved.
Also, we were talking last episode, we were, during our being skeptical about certain things, and I was thinking like maybe Wim's dad was involved or whatever, but I keep forgetting that we don't know how long that ship had laid under the...
No idea.
Right. So like, if anything, maybe there's a descendant if anyone lived, but I don't think it's only been there for like 15, 20 years.
It doesn't seem that way.
Right.
It certainly seems like it's been there a lot longer than that. And then I was also thinking, okay, so during all this mess, how's that going to go for Jod? He's going to come in with the pirates, and they're going to be obviously demanding, okay, where's this mint you promised? Is he going to somehow slip away and get back to the kids? There's got to be a redemption moment. Is it going to be like the pirates have the kids in harm's way or something, and he has to? There's going to be like some line from earlier in the show.
He's going to have to choose, right? The pirate code or the kids, probably.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's going to be literally that moment of I've got the treasure in my hands, but there's the kids, and what do I do?
Sure, but I mean, then we're left open with this whole planet's going to find out they've been hidden and ignored. So what do they do with that? And where does Jod go? Like, what's his purpose after? Like, I don't see him. I'm going to be a pirate still.
Well, yes, and maybe that's the way that those in power on At-Aten treat it. Is the second the pirates show up, it's like, now you can't leave because you've seen us. So now you know where we are now. So now we have to kill all of you.
Yeah, it's all vicious. Anybody who knows has to die.
Yes. Yeah. You either have to stay there forever or you die.
I don't think that. I don't think, because then they would tell other citizens.
Oh, good point. Didn't think about
they don't want it to spread out. So
although clearly some of the citizens have a sort of an idea of what's going on. The parents know.
I think they know what their job is. I don't think they know that they're...
Oh, they don't know what's happening outside their world.
Right, yeah.
I see, yeah. So they'd be getting all these tales. There's like, oh, there's what out there? There was a Death Star? What the fuck happened? Alderaa's gone?
Mm-hmm. Because if they're getting any information, I wonder if like the bottleneck is the supervisor, right? And then the supervisor isn't passing along any information, just giving them lies or answers to keep them contained.
Just enough, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's going to be interesting, the last two episodes, because I'm curious how they wrap this up and leave it open for another season, possibly. Which
was obviously a plan. We talked about that. They had a plan for a second season, or they have a plan for a second season. So there's not everything will be resolved, but enough to make it a self-contained story for the season.
And I don't see Jod being like, you know what? I had such a good time. Come on, kids. You can come with me again.
I think he's going to leave. I don't know how. I don't think he's going to die.
No, I don't
But I think he's going to help them, and in the end, he's somehow going to leave and be like, catch you later. But how does he leave and they know that he won't speak of it ever again and where they are and keep them safe? I don't know.
Well, almost they're going to have to overthrow the digital government, right? They're going to have to take their planet back over, and then the secret's going to be out.
Yeah. Will all the pirates die? They're all going to die?
Probably except for Vane. Now
he'll keep living. He's the one guy.
I think so, right?
He'll be like it's like in that movie Tombstone where the one dude keeps getting away. The one guy in the bad crew, like he keeps somehow surviving.
Yeah, he's the cat with 9 lives.
Uh-huh.
If we do see flashbacks, is this where maybe we'll see someone from the Mandoverse?
In the flashback, someone from the Mandoverse. So you think it's not going to go back to like when he's quite young?
Well, maybe we'll see like the tale of Jod, right? Like maybe he's telling the story, but maybe we'll see different versions of, so he's always lying.
Right. I think when they open the next episode, it's either going to be something with the parents or it's going to be a flashback scene to Jod as a younger man or younger kid or something like that. So you get more context of what he was. I think that's how you handle the flashback.
I think we're going to see him in jail and he's going to say, man, I remember the first time I was in the cell. Flashback.
See, I think they're going to go flashback and then it's going to come back to him being sitting there in that cell.
Well, I was just going to say the Mandalorian shows up in the past. He's like, I've got a bounty on you.
I don't think the Mandalorian's showing up. I don't think that's happening. And I'm okay with that. We don't need the Mandalorian show.
What if Jod is involved in Grogu's story after he was saved?
Oh, no. What if they go back and they show Jod and he's with fucking Toro Calican? I quit. Out of the show. Not interested anymore. I'm gone.
Now you're quitting the show?
That's his brother or something. It'd be more like his nephew. It'd be like his nephew. Well, we'll see. A lot of places you can go with it. But yeah, that's my vote. I think that it's going to open on some sort of flashback of Jod's life. Either that or the parents. You got to start with one of those or both, I had a note here that said, "What if the pirates come in and land on the other side of the planet?" Well, there's nothing here.
Yeah, he lied to us.
Okay, Maul Bag. This is from Max Rebo. This is fresh. This just came in like an hour ago.
Sweet.
I hope you have a satisfactory New Year. He says have. Oh, normally it's had. It's normally past tense, but I think 5 is still my favorite, but 6 is a close second. Episode 6 was heartwarmingly fantastic.
Aw.
All the pirates in Pocket surviving the acid pool was surprising, but I'm glad we didn't get a "did I do that?" Smee being taken out with an ion blast. There you go. Seems to be a trope now. I wonder if we'll see it in the final battle. If he gets taken out in the final battle with an ion blast,
I think he's going to find a way to defeat it. Like he's got to figure out a way for that not to work anymore, right?
I think he's going to be back to ass kicking mode.
Yeah.
So he's going to be more heroic.
You think by the end he's going to get like a new gloss job, new paint job? He's going to look all brand new.
I don't
like they did to C-3PO in A New Hope,
right? Or yeah, I could see that. And does Smee end up staying on the planet? Does he end up being like the fucking mascot of the kids? He's almost like what is his face in Goonies when Chunk's like, "You're gonna live with me."
Yeah, that could be.
What is that guy's name? Sloth, you're gonna live with me.
Lucky Root.
Still one of my favorite moments when he goes up and is like, "You're gonna live with me now," and the parents are like, "Excuse me, what?"
Yeah,
that guy's gonna live with us. Uh-oh.
How are we gonna ground this fucking kid now?
I do love the fact that it's 80s, and so like they don't care about just fat shaming people, so they literally show up to the beach to get Chunk with a fucking Domino's pizza. I'm like, come on. Yes, we get it. He's Chunk. We get it. KB having brain implants after a speeder wreck. Oh, he's speculating it was a speeder wreck. Is stealing Dangar's EU backstory, but I like her character, so it's fine. Dangar has a speeder wreck?
I don't know his backstory.
I don't know Dangar's backstory.
Yeah.
I really think Neil should have been the one to save KB because the sidekick needs to be the hero sometime, but having it be Wim was probably the correct choice. It's nice he gets to have his Jedi moment and leaves it open for Neil to save the planet from the pirates by using the giant cannon on the school roof, shown in Ad Akron, episode 4. That's an interesting one because we saw that cannon on that roof.
That's saying that the cannons were installed initially, where we took it as it was like an add-on through trades, right?
Right. But he said this, and I think I saw somebody else make this point of what if that's always there? And the kids know it now. Neil knows it now.
Right.
So when the pirates, when they go to their school, they're like, "Oh, there's a cannon here, just so you guys know."
Well, don't you think the security crew would know?
Well, you would think so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. But I just thought it would be a Neil moment to say, "Guys, there's a cannon.
Yeah.
You just got to get this thing out and fucking pry it open."
And that's how they have to beat the security
pirates.
crew. And the pirates.
The security crew.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're fighting the security crew.
I think they've got to overthrow them, man. Something's got to happen.
So they're fighting 2 battles.
They're going to have to.
They got to defeat the pirates
first. I think pirates first. And then the security crew is like, "You all have to die. You know things." I'm like, what?
Damn it.
Yeah. We can't
Unplug them. Yeah. Pull the fucking micro fuse out or whatever. Maybe that's what it is. They know now about the micro fuse. They could pull those things out of all the... I don't know. It takes too much time. They also know about the off switch.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, until next time. Thank you, Max. And we have a FACPA Answering Machine message.
Oh, from Chew Bubba.
This is from Chew Bubba. You ready? We're going to play some OK Stop.
Who is this?
Not very long. Oh, you're going to recognize right away. Here we go.
It's Dan.
Greetings and salutations.
Called it.
Chew Bubba.
Nailed it.
From the New Jersey sector. I am calling because I just found the number because you guys say it so quickly. Please just put the number in your show notes so that people can easily access it so that we can leave you more messages instead of well, I also listen at 1.25.
Do you have anything to add to the show, Dan?
Well, what's funny is I hear him say this and I go, "It is in the show notes, you dick." And I go back and look. So in Libsyn, I don't know if you ever do this. You can save like what they call snippets. And the snippet allows you to just have like pre-populated show notes that I just then put stuff into.
Oh, okay.
Instead of having to copy it from the last one, I just do a snippet. Well, in the older template I had, it had that in there. But in the newer one I updated just for this show because I had like a new updated format.
Okay.
It did not. So it is now in the show notes. I've added
Thanks
it back.
Thanks for the save, Dan.
Good to go. Thanks, Dan. He just said he listens in 1.25 speed. Here you go.
speed, because I like to hear what Jason would sound like on cocaine. But my question, other than that, is where do you think this series will be going, and do you think it will be picked up for another season? I am loving the feel of it. I love the escape on the island, the pirate island that Smee or 33 took them to. SM-33, come on, it's Smee. That's Captain Hook's second mate.
Right.
But anyway, what are your thoughts? All right.
No, it always cuts off for some reason. Thank you. Yes, I think we've probably articulated this. Exactly. Keep sending shit in. I think we've talked about that a bit, is that we expect that unless the viewership is so bad or they don't stick the landing somehow and the reviews go in the tank, I really think they're going to make a second season of this show.
Have we heard what the budget is for this show compared to the other ones?
I thought I heard somebody say it was 120 or 130, something like that.
So that's what, pretty... half of the Acolyte?
No, that maybe. I think in the end the Acolyte was over 200, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's. I think that this is. I think this is warranting another one. I think there'll be growth on this one. I think this is one that a lot of people will turn back to. I mean, I sure hope so. If anything, kind of like the Acolyte, I think if there's not a direct sequel, I think these characters, some of them will be picked. You'll see them again.
Well, we had that rumor about there being a Pirates spinoff.
Right.
But I think there might be a direct sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to want to do something with the kids again.
Well, according to John Watts, he's like, we had an idea, and he's like, we got to hurry up because these kids are aging.
They're aging.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to get the green light. Mm-hmm. So can you do it? It's so funny because so many shows, especially like Netflix shows or Apple TV shows, it's like if you ever look back in like the Wikipedia notes, 2 months before it was released, renewed for a new season.
Yeah.
Like it always happens before the season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much work to do before you even start shooting, so it needs to be.
Yeah. And we have not heard one iota of there being a second season here. But Lucasfilm operates a little bit more in private, so maybe that's why. We hope for good things.
They'll wait until April to announce it, but they're already writing the show.
Right. They want that big woo moment when they just drop it on stage. Yeah, that could be. All right, well, that was it for FACPA Answering Machine. Thanks again, Chububba. I did want to put a note also out for next week, another programming note that I threw this out to you, that it's the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. And so one of the things we'll do next week, in addition to covering episode 7, is we'll look back on like kind of the biggest Star Wars moments, our biggest Star Wars moments of 2024. And I think we could also, if you want, we could do some 2025 predictions, what we think we'll see in Star Wars this year.
Okay.
And so we'll do that next week as well.
Let's do it. That's it. We're going to wrap this bad boy up, I guess. So thank you, everybody who tunes in every damn week. And Dan, Chububba, thanks for the answer machine call. And Max Rebo, you are always trusted to bring us an email. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Till next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We have spoken.